Just a few years ago, the Army was struggling to meet its recruiting goals. Now it's already reached this year's target, while exceeding retention goals. This fiscal year alone, more than 61,500 future soldiers have signed on for active duty service.
So could this also be part of the plan here, where you're getting people into these dire situations where they wouldn't otherwise probably do this, but now they have no choice? I don't know if you've seen this graph of the inflation that's happened since 2019. It's gone out of control.
There's a lot of different reasons that people join that we give them more opportunity, but it's like, are you going to make it back from Iran?
Yeah, because there's still talks of potential ground troops, right? Because Trump is not willing to accept defeat, and the only options now on the table are nukes or ground troops.
Yeah.
It was really funny. There was like an email that was leaked from the War Department. They're like, does anybody have any unorthodox ideas to pressure Iran into a better deal? They're like, anything is on the table.
Yeah, take out Israel. There's an unorthodox idea.
All right, Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakak Wadash. And double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops here at Great Millstone for teaching His truth. It's gone all around the earth. Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. It's your brother Atazawan. We back with another quick lesson, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Concerning that short clip, right, which those two, I guess it's some podcast, right, because that's all you see now. But anyway, these two who are talking about Babylon has reached its recruiting goal for the U.S. Army. Now, they didn't cover any of the other 5 branches of the so-called military, in which, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what the circumstances are, because the lady in the clip tried to say, well, you know, there are various reasons why, you know, people join the military, and that's true. But when you look at prophecy, especially during this time in which we live in, you know that all of this is prophetic, you see, in which these podcasters, they don't understand the truth, though I believe that there are many of them out there that do listen to the men of the Lord, right, particularly the men of the Great Millstone and like-minded brothers. And why do I say that? Because we're the ones who flood the internet every day with new lessons, right, concerning the prophecies, looking at the current events and news, filtering that current event and news through the scriptures, right, to give understanding to the sheep. Okay, so the things that we put out there as far as lessons are concerned, everything is for the hopeful elect, all right, or for the elect out there, as it were, you see. And there are many of them out there that you're starting to see now are taking all the talking points of the Hebrew Israelites and spinning it their way as if they actually came up with it, and putting it out there for human consumption to make themselves seem like they're brilliant for thinking it up. But actually, there's still a lot of the breakdowns and the understanding from the Hebrew brothers, all right? But anyway, as we look at that short clip, you know, again, the point being that this is part of the prophecy, all right? And you're going to have this rise in recruitment, all right, because why? The Most High is doing it. It's just not the circumstances. Well, the Lord creates the circumstances that cause them, right, to make the decision to go into the military at this time, you see? But ultimately, when you put everything in its proper context and in the grand scheme of things, again, it's prophecy, because you have to have World War III. You have to have the coming of the Lord, right? You have to have the MOTB. You have to have Jacob's trouble. All of these things are mixed up in that same bag, that bag of prophecy. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of different things going on all at one time. All right, and so anyway, it put me in the mind of a few scriptures here, and we'll get this, or get these scriptures, and then, you know, It'll be quick and easy. All right, so let's go to the first scripture that came to my mind. So this is Second Esdras, Salakia. Forgot where it was. Forgive me. 16, right? Second Esdras 16. Let's drop down to. I'm not gonna read all of it, but we'll get the important parts for just for this particular talking point. All right, and that is about the recruitment and the men, as well as some of the women are joining, but for the men. All right. Second Ezra 16, we're jumping right here at 24. It reads, "There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men." Right? So it says all places. So in other words, the men of the nations are going to be what? Gathered into the valley of Jehoshaphat or Yehoshaphat. You see? And so many nations, not just Babylon, but many nations will be, their men will be absent and will eventually be destroyed over there. But we're concerned about Babylon the Great, right? At this particular point. All right, what's going to happen to a lot of these people who join the military for Babylon? They're not coming back. All right. Verse 27, "So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice, for of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks, as in the orchards of olives. Upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives." Right, there'll be very few men who are left here who are not over there, right, and being turned into powder. Okay, verse 30, "Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. The virgins, listen, shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers." Right, because most of the men will have to be, or will travel over into that land to be destroyed. Right, and this is where we always mention that eventually there's going to be a draft. You may have some high recruiting numbers now, those who are volunteering, but you also are going to have that great draft of men who are going to march off to war and never be seen again. All right. Verse 34, "In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed." See, there it is right there. "And their husbands shall perish of famine. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Behold, the word of the Lord received. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. As when a woman with child in her 9th month begin to bring forth her son, the 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment." Right, so when it begins to ramp up, it will eventually go full blast, and there'll be no stopping it. Right, but that's by the power in the hand of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right, the ever-living power, because these are his prophecies in which he spoke long, long, long ago that are coming to pass. All right, and he spoke them through his prophets. All right, verse 39, "Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and the sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word, make ye ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. He that is selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose." And it goes on, all right, to say basically, don't put your faith in stock, right, in Babylon the Great, because this place is going to be filled with woes and troubles, and the land is going to be made desolate. There's going to be nuclear fire, all right, nuclear energy, wind. Your men won't be here. They'll be on the other side of the world being destroyed. You know, women are going to mourn for men, okay, and so on. So let's get over to Joel chapter 3. Let's start right here at the top, and you see it right here. The nations will be judged, okay? So this is ultimately what's going to bring in or usher in at a certain point in time before everything is destroyed, right? And we're getting close to that point because the Lord said if this man stayed in power, no flesh would be saved. So he's shortening the days. So we're getting closer and closer to this point. But again, during that point, you know, the Lord, Yahushua, and the host of heaven will have to appear, all right, and gather his elect, you know, bring an end to World War III and so on. Okay? Job 3:1, it says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, or turn it, all right, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel," which is the real, true Israelites, right? And in that you have the elect of the Lord, because those people over there in that land now, they're not the real people, okay? And that's been, you know, proven over and over and over again, okay, by the brotherhood. Going on, it says, "Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine, that they may drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head?" So even those so-called African nations, right, over there, which is the land of Ham, which those are Hamites, they're not the same as the Israelites, all right, you know, did us dirty as well, okay? And so they're going to have to pay. So that's why it says all these nations, right, will be judged, all right? Going on to verse 5, it says, "Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your daughters, your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabeans, to a people far off, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken it. Proclaim this," verse 9, "proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I'm strong." Yeah, all these other nations have gotten to a point where they have either developed nuclear weapons on their own, or they are allies with someone who could provide it for them, you see. And so the big bad United States is not the only one, Salakia, that you would consider a so-called superpower, all right? Because these other nations are supporting each other. The weaker ones have become just as strong, all right, because of who they're allied with. So you got China, Russia, you got Afghanistan, not Afghanistan, Slovakia. What's that place over there? Yeah, you could say the Elamites, all those people over there, all right, who are affiliated with the Russians, all right. What's the other place I'm thinking of? Slovakia, the name slips in my mind. India, if I didn't say India, Pakistan, that's who I was trying to think of. Slovakia, Pakistan, right? These other countries have access to nuclear weapons, okay, which were once just countries where people live their lives, believe what they believe, have their false gods. They farmed and did all these different things, but now, they're rich enough because they have resources that they put on the market and sell, and have built up their nuclear programs, right? And Iran, being the Persians anyway, right, or warring people, okay, have built up their ability to either have several or have several other parts, and can get the other parts to make one up. You see? Going on, let's go to verse 11. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down. O Lord, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, right? Let's go on to verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get ye down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes of multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. You see? So that's what's going to happen. These nations, these armies are going to gather together. You see? Now, all of this is done, again, because why? It's already written in the prophecy. Okay, so their recruitment numbers will go up more than likely because why? The Lord is moving these people to do so. Okay, however way you want to attribute it. Okay. This is 2nd Ezra 15, I believe, Salakia. Yep, 2nd Ezra 15. And let's drop down to verse 20 here. It says, behold, said the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense them in their bosom, thus saith the Lord power. Right, and all of this, and we'll get the scripture here in Isaiah 34, is for the controversy of Zion. That's why all of this is going to happen. This is why the Lord is mustering these militaries. And mustering is to build up, all right, to take account of, all right. Verse 22, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and have consumed the foundation of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. And, really, just like with Esau, he's a brother, and he did not hold the brotherly covenant, okay? And thus makes him what? The man of sin, okay, as it were. And these other nations as well, don't reverence the Lord, but he's going to make them reverence him, okay? Because they have what? Their idols and their false gods, you see? Verse 26, for the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. And you can think of particularly Esau, Edom, who is the wicked of the earth, is the one that goes about shedding innocent blood. Because even with some of them other people over there in the east like that, they have some kind of reverence for at least their fellow man. You see? Where Esau is just a damn devil of the earth, and he doesn't care about anybody. All right? Verse 28, behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmenians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boar of the woods, which equates to, the Persians over there. Okay? And with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall be, if they shall turn themselves, conspire together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and kept silent through the power, and shall flee. Let me see here how much further we want to go. Let's read a little bit more. And that was the point, was to get to the point of the Carmenians, the Arabians, the dragons of Arabia, all right, which are those people over there in the middle part of that land, in the deserts, right, in those high mountain areas, all right. Verse 33, and from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. What might that be? You see, just use your understanding of what the scriptures have already told you about nuclear weaponry, right? And also, again, let me throw in there the coming of the Lord. Verse 35, they shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camel halt. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and tremble shall come upon them. And then shall, verse 38, and then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west, and strong winds shall rise from the east and shall open it, and the clouds which he raised up in the wrath and the star steered to cause fear towards the east, and the west wind shall be destroyed. A great multitude of clouds shall be puffed up, full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein, and there shall pour out over every high and eminent place and horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords. See, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass and meadows, and their corn, and they shall go steadfast, and they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and make her afraid. You see? So all of this is for the controversy of Zion. All right? But those nuclear warheads are written of here in the scriptures. Jeremiah 51:1, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind, right? And that's what comes out of those nuclear warheads is tremendous energy, you see? And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men. See, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath been for Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Right, he's going to repay Babylon for all the terror that it did to the Israelites. Okay. All right. And the fleeing part is just really talking about separating yourself from the ways of Babylon. Because you can't run anywhere, you know. Verse 7, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right, these other nations are going to turn on this place. All right, and you're starting to see that. More and more, the more you watch the news, you're starting to see these other nations, you know, are flipping the bird to Babylon. You see? Isaiah 34:1, it says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear." This will be the last scripture. "And hearken, ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord Yahweh is upon all nations." There's that all nations again. Like he said in Joel 3, "I will gather all nations." "And his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them. He had delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll." So, you know, you've seen the clips of nuclear weapons or atomic bombs or hydrogen bombs or what have you. When they explode, you get that rolling, pluming cloud that goes hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air. Okay? "And all the hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fallen fig tree, as a fallen fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea." And as we stated before, that's the Greek way of saying Edom. All right. And Babylon is really the chief seat of the Edomites and their controlling power structure. "And upon the people of my curse to judgment, the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with the fatness and with the blood of the lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys and rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah." Right. Bozrah was an ancient chief city for the Edomites. And you can liken that unto today here in Babylon the Great. "And a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullock with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with the fatness." Verse 8, which is the point. "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." Zion is talking about, or it's called a monument unto the Lord, or to Zion in the Hebrew, all right, which would mean all of Israel, talking about the people. Okay, so there you have it. You know, why the recruitment may be going up is because it's by the will of the Lord. Because many of Jakes are going to be thrust in, right? Many of these 2/3 Jakes are going to be lost over there in that land and be destroyed as well. Okay, so that's the Lord that's mustering these people up to get them ready to be destroyed over in that land. You see? So all things that you see and hear about in the news, be it world news or podcast, so-called journalists, what have you, you know, you're seeing the prophecies come to life, right? Slowly but surely, the Lord is bringing this thing to a close, all right? And that's what you're seeing. So it's not that it's a good thing that people, you know, feel like they, you know, want to defend this place. Most times, more often than not, most people join the military because it's a means to an end, right? And so now you're at this point where we're getting to the end of this thing. We're getting to the end of the road, and the Lord is putting the pieces in place, okay? So, you know, for those that join the military, you know, the Lord put the spirit on you to join the military, I would have to say that's not a good thing, right? Because it's going to lead to destruction. All right, so with that, we're in the lesson right there. All right, Salakia for going on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but through the spirit, these things happen. All right, the Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson. Someone learned something from it. Okay, so with that, I'll end the lesson right there. Give it all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash, and double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Lord willing, I'll see you again real soon with another lesson. Shalom.